headlines today. Malaysia and US to intensify economic ties at multilateral and regional levels. European Union to phase out COVID measures for Chinese travellers. US Trade Representative Catherine Tai called on Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim in Putrajaya for a high-profile discussion on the importance of US-Malaysia trade and investment relationship. The discussion between the Prime Minister and Tai yesterday was centred on overcoming uncertainties in the global economy and financial markets. According to the posting on his official Twitter account, Datuk Seri Anwar said their talks touched on measures to strengthen economic cooperation and trade facilitation issues, as well as to draw quality investments to Malaysia. According to him, Thai's arrival in Malaysia is the first working visit by a cabinet member of the United States since the unity government was formed last year. In her one-day visit to Malaysia, Thai also met International Trade and Industry Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz at Menara MITI in Kuala Lumpur. During the meeting, Malaysia and the United States reaffirmed their commitment to intensify collaboration to strengthen bilateral economic ties at the multilateral and regional levels. The ministry said, as champions of the multilateral trading system, Malaysia and the US shared a strong track record of progressive outcomes in various international fora. Both Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul and Thai agreed that compliance with the principles of environmental, social and governance in businesses is the key way forward. The minister also expressed enthusiasm towards engaging in tangible discussions with the US as the chair of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation APEC 2023 and other APEC economies in uplifting innovation, digitalization, inclusivity and sustainability agenda this year. Malaysia's labour productivity, as expressed in terms of value added per employee in the fourth quarter of last year, rose 3.6% in line with an economic expansion in that period. Chief Statistician Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Uzair Maidin said the number of employees went up by 3.2% and recorded an increase in value added per employee to 24,915 ringgit for the same period. In a statement, he said brisk business activity in that quarter is reflected through an increase in the number of working hours by 5%, with an increase to 9.2 billion working hours recorded. Therefore, labour productivity measured by value added per working hour also grew by 1.9% to 43 ringgit 10 sen. In terms of labour productivity as measured by value added per employee, he said all sectors marked an increase led by construction with 10%, followed by the mining and quarrying sectors, each recording an increase of 6.5%. Datuk Seri Dr. Muhammad Uzair said the services sector rose by 4%, with three subsectors continuing to strengthen at double-digit growth, namely real estate and business services, food and beverage and accommodation, as well as transportation and storage. Meanwhile, the construction sector jumped 8% compared to a negative 2.1% in the previous quarter, while the mining and quarrying sector strengthened by 4.7%. The Finance Ministry reveals that the depreciation of the ringgit is more driven by the global phenomena and market influences. The ministry said the depreciation of the ringgit to 4.74 ringgit against the US dollar in September 2022 was not due to the weakness in the country's economic fundamentals or the failure of the measures taken by the government through Bank Negara Malaysia, BNM. In a written answer published on the Parliament's website, it said the world experienced a shock in 2022 when the US Federal Reserve raised interest rates with a large magnitude of 425 basis points in a short period between March and November to address the issue of high inflation. The ministry said the increase in US interest rates, which are high and more aggressive compared to other central banks, had pushed the value of the US dollar currency higher compared with most global currencies, including the value of the ringgit. MOF said this in response to a question from Labis Member of Parliament Pang Hock Leong, who stated that the depreciation of the ringgit was due to the failure of the measures taken by BNM and inquired about the immediate effective measures needed to contain the ringgit's deterioration. The ministry said BNM's approach is focused on ensuring that the ringgit adjustment is done orderly, thus helping businesses plan and implement spending and investment decisions properly. The Ministry of Communications and Digital KKD is committed to helping Sabah in matters related to broadcasting and internet networks. Minister Fahmi Fadzil said the matter was discussed with Sabah Science, Technology and Innovation Minister Dato Dr. Muhammad Arifin Muhammad Arif during a courtesy visit with the ministry's delegation to his office in Angkasa Puri. Fahmi said that he also shared the three main focuses of KKD that need to be achieved this year, which are the strengthening of communication infrastructure, cybersecurity, and digital economy investment. In the meeting, Dato Dr. Muhammad Arifin also voiced Sabah's request for immediate improvement of the state telecommunications infrastructure.
Dan ini keperluan kita karena yang sangat memerlukan ialah pelajar-pelajar kita di kawasan-kawasan berkenaan. Sebab itu VISAT itu sangat penting, POP itu sangat penting, dan beberapa program yang lain untuk PD itu juga keperluan yang sangat penting untuk anak-anak kita, kemudahan anak-anak kita.
On 20th January, Fahmi, during the press conference of the KKD 2023-2025 Strategic Plan meeting and the KKD Agenda 2023 in Melaka, informed that the infrastructure aspect would involve internet access and telecommunication services, while the security aspect involves data and cyber. The focus on digital investment is expected to drive the country's economic growth post-pandemic, thus making Malaysia a digital hub in the ASEAN region. Police have denied claims made by a man on Twitter that he was not allowed to file a police report regarding an accident case on Wednesday. Brickfield's Police Chief ACP Ami Hizam Abdul Shukur said the police detected a tweet uploaded by a man at 9:58 p.m. claiming that there had been an accident in the Bukit Damansara area. The man claimed that he was not allowed to lodge a report at the Bukit Damansara station and was asked to go to the Taman Tun Dr. Ismail police station or the district police headquarters. According to ACP Ami Hizam, police investigations found that the police station in question was the community police station in Bukit Damansara, which had been closed since 2010 and was no longer operating. He added the place was taken over by the Sri Lara Security Control Company in 2011. He further said in a statement that the tweet is slanderous and the police will lodge a report over the case. It will be investigated in accordance with Section 233 of the Communications and Multimedia Act 1998 and Section 500 of the Penal Code. ACP Ami Hizam also urged the public not to easily believe the information on social media without proper verification. Up in our foreign front, US President to talk with Chinese counterpart over balloon row. EU countries have agreed to phase out COVID-19 restrictions on travellers from China. The restrictions were put in place to guard against possible new variants after China's reopening prompted a surge in infections there. The Swedish presidency of the EU said health experts from 27 EU members agreed at a meeting that they would end the requirement for negative pre-departure COVID tests by the end of February. They would also stop random testing of travellers from China by the middle of March. The moves were also agreed to by non-EU members of the Schengen Free Travel Zone, including Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland. The countries agreed on the pre-arrival tests and post-arrival random checks on 4th January, ahead of China's easing of its travel restrictions on 8th January, one of the last vestiges of the world's strictest regime of COVID restrictions. The measures served only as a recommendation for EU members. Some countries, such as France and Italy, imposed mandatory COVID tests and virus sequencing for passengers coming from China, although Italy loosened its controls at the end of January. President Joe Biden will talk to his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in the wake of the U.S. Air Force shooting down what Washington says was a high-tech Chinese spy balloon earlier this month. While stressing that the United States is not looking for a new Cold War, Biden said he will not make any apologies for taking down the balloon.
The other thing I want to point out is that we are going to keep our allies and the Congress contemporaneously informed of all we know and all we learn. And I expect to be speaking with President Xi, and I hope we're going to get to the bottom of this. But I make no apologies for taking down that balloon. Thank you very much.
The United States has been in a state of alarm since a huge white balloon from China was spotted tracking over a series of top-secret nuclear weapon sites before being shot down just off the east coast. In the wake of the incident, the U.S. military adjusted radar settings to detect smaller objects and promptly discovered 3 more unidentified craft that Biden ordered shot down, one over Alaska, another over Canada, and the third over Lake Huron off Michigan. China says the balloon was just a stray weather research craft, but U.S. officials say they have conclusive evidence that the balloon was sent to spy. Beijing accused Washington of overreacting and claimed that U.S. balloons had overflown Chinese territory, something Biden administration denies. North Atlantic Treaty Organization NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg told Turkey it was time to finally ratify Sweden and Finland's bids to join the Western Defence Alliance. Stoltenberg arrived in Ankara 10 days after Turkey was hit by a massive earthquake that has claimed over 40,000 lives across the country's southeast and parts of Syria. He said NATO stands with Turkey in its time of need. However, he also stressed the urgency of Ankara dropping its resistance to the Nordic neighbours' bids to join the Western Defence Alliance.
So my consistent position has been and remains that the time has come to ratify both Finland and Sweden and make them full members of our alliance.
Finland and Sweden dropped decades of military non-alignment and applied to join the US-led defense alliance in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Turkey and Hungary remain the only members of the 30-nation alliance that have failed to ratify the 2 bids by votes in parliament. All 30 states must approve a new country's membership. The Hungarian legislature is expected to approve both bids by March. Turkey has signaled it is ready to receive Finland into the alliance, but not Sweden. U.S. Environmental Protection Agency EPA Administrator Michael Reagan visited East Palestine in Ohio, United States, where he faced mounting complaints from residents 2 weeks after the derailment of a Norfolk Southern-operated train caused a fire that sent a cloud of smoke over the town. The smoke forced thousands of residents to evacuate while railroad crews drained and burned off toxic chemicals.
We're also continuing to conduct 24/7 air monitoring to ensure the health and safety of all residents. As it relates to water, EPA is supporting Ohio and the local government in determining what impacts the spill has had on surface and groundwater.
The incident has sparked calls from residents and lawmakers for increased railroad regulation, and railroad union officials said they have long warned that such an accident could happen because railroad cost-cutting harmed safety measures. After railroad crews drained and burnt off a toxic chemical from 5 tanker cars, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine on 8th February said that residents could return to their homes. But since the accident, residents have complained about headaches and questioned the impacts of pollution. The US Transportation Safety Board is investigating the accident. Dozens of angry demonstrators attacked several banks in Beirut after the Lebanese pound hit a record low amid a deepening economic crisis. Lebanon's cash-strapped banks have imposed strict restrictions on withdrawals, barring depositors from accessing their savings, especially those in the US dollars. According to exchange rate monitors, the pound is trading at about 80,000 onto the greenback on the black market versus 60,000 at the start of the month. Yesterday, around 50 protesters smashed the facades of 4 banks and burned car tires in the central Beirut neighborhood of Badaro. The attacks came after calls by the Depositors Outcry Association, a group that supports depositors' attempts to withdraw their money. This month, the Association of Banks in Lebanon declared an open-ended strike, saying the crisis was affecting the entire financial system. Lebanon's economic crisis has left many struggling to make ends meet in a country where poverty rates have reached about 80% of the population. The pound's plunge has triggered a wave of price hikes, including on fuel, food items and basic goods. Lebanon is being run by a caretaker government and is also without a president, as lawmakers have repeatedly failed to elect a successor to Michel Aoun, whose mandate expired at the end of October. Bolivia has recorded 26 deaths from dengue fever this year, with the outbreak pushing the health service in the eastern Santa Cruz region to the brink of collapse. Bolivian Health Ministry said the cumulative number of dengue cases in Bolivia has reached 6,825. Of those cases, 5,225 have been in Santa Cruz, the most populous region in the South American country. The number of cases has risen sharply in Santa Cruz in recent days, ramping up pressure on hospitals. On Sunday, the government embarked on a massive fumigation program in the city of Santa Cruz, home to 1.9 million people, in a bid to tackle the rising cases. Dengue fever is a mosquito-borne tropical disease that can provoke a high fever, headache, vomiting, as well as muscle and joint pain. In its worst cases, it can be fatal. In all of 2022, Bolivia registered 4,362 dengue cases and 10 deaths. Tesla will recall 362,000 vehicles to update its full self-driving beta software after U.S. regulators said the driver assistance system did not adequately adhere to traffic safety laws and could cause crashes. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said that Tesla software allows a vehicle to exceed speed limits or travel through intersections in an unlawful or unpredictable manner that increases the risk of a crash. Tesla will release an over-the-air software update free of charge, and the electric vehicle maker said it is not aware of any injuries or deaths that may be related to the recall issue. The automaker said it had 18 warranty claims. The recall covers 2016 to 2023 Model S and Model X vehicles, 2017 to 2023 Model 3, and 2020 to 2023 Model Y vehicles equipped with FSD beta software or pending installation. Tesla shares were down 3.6% at $206.62 yesterday afternoon, and it was among the most actively traded stocks on the U.S. exchanges. Coming up in sports, Barcelona fight back in thrilling draw with Manchester United. This season's Charity Shield winners, Terengganu hockey team THT, drew 2-2 with Maybank in the Malaysian Hockey League MHL action at the Kuala Terengganu City Council Hockey Stadium yesterday. The home team, led by Seo Jong-ho, began fiercely, producing 3 early attempts but failed to finish. The breakthrough for THT came in the 17th minute through national striker Faisal Sari, who finished brilliantly from Mohammad Marhan Mohammad Jalil's pass. Trailing 0-1, Maybank, who were more defensive up to that point, changed the pace of the game and scored the equaliser in the 30th minute through Muhammad Izam Azhar. After some relentless attacking play in the second half, the home team took the lead once again through Muhammad Fitri Saari in the 54th minute. But with only 20 seconds left in the match, THT's hopes of pulling ahead in the league were dashed by national player Mohammad Razi Abdul Rahim, who scored through a penalty corner. With the result, THT failed to overtake Maybank at the top of the league, who are ahead on a superior goal difference. Barcelona fought back to earn a 2-2 draw with Manchester United in a pulsating Europa League knockout round playoff first leg early today. United were the better side for large parts of the game and controlled the tempo, but were denied by goalkeeper Marc-Andre ter Stegen, who made 3 outstanding saves in the first half. La Liga leaders Barcelona struck first 5 minutes after the break, when Marcos Alonso scored with a towering header at the far post from a corner. Marcus Rashford levelled 3 minutes later following a counter-attack down the right, slotting home a smart low finish between ter Stegen and the near post. The informed Rashford also created United's second, sprinting into the box from a short corner and delivering a low cross into a crowded 6-yard area where the ball deflected into the goal of defender Jules Koundé. Barcelona dug deep to grab the equaliser, however, and mistakes by United's defence gifted the ball on the edge of their box to Rafinha, whose cross eluded David De Gea and went into the net. Barca made a late push for the win and could have scored when an Ansu Fati close-range strike was denied. They will travel to next week's second leg at Old Trafford with a depleted midfield, as Pedri came off in the first half with a leg injury and Gavi will be suspended. Meanwhile, Juventus' disappointing season continued as they were held to a 1-1 draw by Nantes in the home leg of their Europa League playoff tie early today. Juventus picked up 1 win from 6 Champions League group matches to drop into the Europa League playoffs, and also after being deducted 15 Serie A points for financial irregularities, their fans have endured a miserable campaign. The playoff came as welcome relief for the Turin Giants against a side lying 13th in the French Ligue 1, and the hosts raced into an early lead when Serbian striker Dusan Vlahovic swept home Federico Chiesa's header across goal. Chiesa was unfortunate not to double his side's advantage early in the second half after his powerful effort hit the underside of the crossbar, bounced on the goal line and came out. Nantes capitalized on that let-off, however, to score a fine equalizer on the hour mark, with Ludovic Blas slamming the ball into the net following a swift counter-attack. The Nantes woodwork was again rattled when Angel Di Maria's corner evaded everyone and clipped the crossbar, but a winner eluded Juve on another frustrating morning. Canadian title holder Felix Auger-Aliassime eased past Grégoire Barrère to reach the Rotterdam ATP quarterfinals yesterday. The 22-year-old from Montreal dispatched the last French player standing 6-4, 6-3 to set up a meeting with 6th seed Daniil Medvedev. Number 3 seed Auger-Aliassime secured his place in the last 8 on the back of a solid first service, firing 9 aces. But the Canadian will look to improve his lackluster 50% first serve percentage before coming up against Medvedev. Medvedev saved all 6 breakpoints he faced in his 6-2, 6-2 win over Dutchman Botic van der Zandschulp. Medvedev has won all 4 of his meetings with Auger-Aliassime, but 3 have gone to the distance, including a 2022 Australian Open quarterfinal meeting in which Medvedev rallied from 2 sets down to win. As such, everyone can expect another close battle between the two. Meanwhile, Yannick Sinner progressed past top seed Stefanos Tsitsipas in straight sets 6-4, 6-3 to reach the quarterfinals of the Rotterdam Open. The victory ended a 4-game losing streak for the Italian number 1 against the world number 3, with Tsitsipas having knocked Sinner out of the Australian Open 4th round in January. Sinner used a dominant serving performance and an aggressive return game to earn his first win against the Greek since 2020. Sinner won 89% of his first serve points and converted on 3 of his 4 break points, with a backhand passing shot clinching his third break and the match after 1 hour 21 minutes. Fresh off securing the ATP 250 Open Sud de France title in Montpellier on Sunday, which propelled him to world number 14 in the world rankings, Sinner can now look forward to a quarterfinal matchup against 3-time Grand Slam winner Stan Wawrinka tomorrow morning. Carlos Alcaraz made a winning return to tennis after a 4-month injury absence, defeating Serbia's Laslo Djere to advance to the quarterfinals of the Argentina Open in Buenos Aires. The 19-year-old Spaniard showed signs of ring rustiness during a 2-hour battle on the court, Guillermo Veas, before sealing a 6-2, 4-6, 6-2 victory against Djere, the world number 57. Prior to the match, Alcaraz had not played since suffering a leg muscle tear at the Paris Masters in November, which ruled him out of the start of the 2023 season, including the Australian Open. Against Djere, he started smoothly after taking the first set briskly, but then failed to make the most of multiple chances to break his opponent in the second set. Instead, Djere pounced on Alcaraz's inconsistent form to level the match and take it to a third set. Alcaraz, though, responded decisively, breaking in the first game and then breaking again for a 5-2 lead before serving out for the match. World number 2 Alcaraz said afterwards he was relieved to have gotten his first victory of 2023. His quarterfinal opponent, Dusan Lajovic of Serbia, advanced to the last 8 with a 6-3, 6-1 win over Camilo Hugo of Argentina. A day after revealing their new Formula One car for the 2023 season, Mercedes drivers Lewis Hamilton and George Russell got behind the wheel for the first time yesterday. On Wednesday, Mercedes went back to black with a sleek new car they hope will allow Hamilton and Russell to fight for wins and titles after a difficult 2022 season. The team ended an unprecedented run of 8 successive constructors' titles, with 3rd place overall last year after wrestling with a bouncing car whose performance was hard to extract. While Russell celebrated his first Formula One victory in Brazil, 7-time world champion Hamilton failed to win a race all season for the first time in an F1 career that started in 2007. In wet conditions yesterday, Hamilton and Russell combined to complete the permitted 100-kilometer running around Silverstone circuit. The season starts in Bahrain on 5th March with testing at the Sakir circuit next week. And with that, we end today's updates at noon. In our top story today, Malaysia and US to intensify economic ties at multilateral and regional levels. Tune in to News at 10 coming up at 10 p.m. on My Freeview's Saluran Berita RTM channel 123. We leave you with the footage of Super Nintendo World in the US that is filled with the game's colorful mushrooms, turtles, and bonus blocks. Thanks for watching. I'm Mohana Priya. Have a great day.